told you you didn't need the mermaid spells that we used to look up when we were kids on YouTube? Like, what if I told you you actually have powers? What if I told you that? What if I told you that I have powers as well, like actual powers that I use in real life to create what I want, to achieve what I want? Like powers unique to me, and you have powers unique to yourself. But if I grew up watching Winx Club or Tinkerbell or any of those type of movies or TV shows, you know that there's a power for every specific, there's a specific power for every person, and it's adjacent to their personality type. So Tinkerbell is a tinker, Silver Mist is a water fairy, Vidya is a wind fairy, fierce like the wind. Vidya's fierce. You see what I'm saying, right? So when it comes to humans having actual powers, their power is their creativity. Because if you think about it, if you have a blank canvas, there's nothing here, a blank canvas you bought from the store, and then you create something from your mind space, from your imagination, from your creative brain, and you just put it onto that canvas, whether that's with acrylic paint, oil paint, oil pastel, whatever medium it is, and you put it onto that canvas, and now you've made something that can affect people's moods, can affect their state of being, can make them cry potentially, can fill them with happiness, can change their emotions and be a topic of conversation, and redirect someone's entire mental. That's power. Like, is that not power? Is that not power? That's power. And I don't think people realize that it is. And you go your whole life thinking you're powerless. You can't do anything to like fix your situation or help yourself out of a rough situation. And obviously there are things that we cannot control, but you have the power to do certain things, to affect certain things within you and outside of you that are in your control. And art is one of the ways you can do that. Like, that's really what we need. That's what we need. Using your creativity to literally create is instinctive to us, but once we are out of childhood, it becomes harder to produce on command, to think creatively, because even though I feel that it is inherent, like we are creators. That's why kids are so creative. That's why kids always want to do something, always want to draw something, always want to make something, always want to build something, because they are creators. We lose that because that isn't helpful. That isn't helpful to capitalism. That isn't helpful to capitalism, because if everyone's creating their own reality, if everyone's creating their own products, and then building a life with that creation that's coming from them, it goes against what society is trying to build, which is, working for other people's dreams and leaving your creativity, leaving your dreams behind to, climb up the corporate ladder or whatever. Like, okay. But yeah, everyone has their own power, and that's why I created Artfaerii Creations and created the concept of the Artfaerii, because art is my power. So, like I mentioned, every fairy has a power. And I have always been interested in fairies and fairy lore and the history of the Fae. So I sat to myself one day, I was like, if I was a fairy, like a mini fairy magical being, what would my power be? And I'm so like endlessly creative. Like, I love to do everything. I love to dance. I love to create sculptures. I love sewing. I love fashion. I love jewelry making. So, and much more. So I couldn't just say my power is painting or my power is drawing. I'd have to create something that covers everything. So I created Artfaerii, because an art fairy is someone who is talented and powerful in every single aspect of creation. And that's what describes me, to be honest. Like, that's just me. And now I've literally created an entire world for myself where I am the art fairy. I can create anything I want because I can, and I enjoy it, and it comes to me very naturally. And now I see people in a very different light, because it's like, well, then everyone's an art fairy. Maybe they're not, maybe they have their own very specific talent, their art fairy talent, but everyone's an art fairy, you know? Every single person is an art fairy. And I feel that women need to understand that, like, we are so magical and ethereal, and there is power within that. It's not just an aesthetic. It really just is an aesthetic, but it's actual power that comes with those titles, because no one can do it like us. No one can do it like us. Like, that's why men have been so obsessed with trying to capture that light and shut it down, or harness it, or you have, you know, what everyone's calling energy vampires now, because we're just all like light. And not just light. There's obviously light and dark to everything, but that strength and power that comes from women creating is so beautiful and powerful. And that's what Artfaerii Creations is all about. Like, it's just a reminder that you have the power. You don't have to give it away to anyone else just to succeed or to achieve the life that you want to achieve, because that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that when you could just create it yourself? Like, it doesn't make sense. And it truly is a power. Like, art is a power, y'all. To be able to just draw from yourself constantly and produce something that is so authentically you from nothing, from absolutely nothing, is alchemy. Is alchemy. And the process of that is so intense and so transformative that there's no way you can't consider that as magic. Like, I look at my paintings sometimes and I just say, like, how did I make, like, that happens to me every single time. Like, how did I make this? Like, how did this happen? And I think that's why it's so important to film everything, because then I can see the breakdown of how it actually happened, because I look at my paintings and I say, how did this happen? I just did a commission, my biggest commission, 36 by 48 inches, y'all. Biggest canvas I've ever worked on. And I said, how did I do this? How did I paint this? How did I cover the entirety of this canvas with my painting? Like, I don't even know where does this come from? You know what I'm saying? Like, where does this come from? And I've been a very creative person my whole life, right? But I took a long break from painting and drawing and all that for like 4+ years. 4 or 5 years. So to come back into it and just be so entirely able to do these things that I'm not even fully aware of, like, there's no way that I'm fully aware of what I'm painting at all times. Like, if you're an artist, and specifically if you paint, there's kind of like this block that comes to you where you don't this is gonna sound crazy, but you don't feel very human anymore. You don't feel like you're here. I think that's why art is escapism for a lot of people, myself included. But I'm definitely trying to rearrange that. But back to what I was saying, yeah, you don't feel like a person anymore. It's kind of this automatic thing that takes over you, and that's the power. That's the power, y'all. That's the power. It's this automatic thing that takes over you where you start to paint. Then an hour goes by, and 2 hours go by, 5 hours go by, 10 hours go by, and you're still painting. So you transform into this other thing. I don't really know what to call it yet, but it feels as if the art fairy spirit is taking over my body, and I just create endlessly. I just create. And I can sit down in front of a canvas all day, literally all day, with little to no breaks, obviously for bathroom and to eat. But sometimes I wouldn't even eat, because that's what I'm saying. You turn into something else when you're in that process. And that is magic. That is a powerful thing. And when you're sitting in front of that canvas, and let's say you haven't showered or you haven't eaten anything, and you still haven't washed your face because you're so into the painting, that's the ugliness of it, the other side of the beauty. But it's all a part of the same magical process. And Artfaerii Creations is about all of that. It's literally about rediscovering your power and your magic and your whimsy. So yeah, everyone's an art fairy, y'all. Everyone's an art fairy. You're an art fairy. I'm an art fairy. But what are you the art fairy of? What's your power? Maybe you're the art fairy of singing. Maybe you're the art fairy of music, of ballet. Maybe you're the art fairy of crochet. Maybe you're the art fairy of writing. What's your speciality? What's your power?